Up next on The Reveal.
Arrest me if you want, please, right now. If you guys want to arrest me, arrest me.
Dozens of DUI cases dismissed without ever hearing the evidence.
Turn around for me.
No.
More than a year later, are Metro Atlanta roads any safer?
If someone gets arrested for a DUI and it's their third offense, the faster we can get them into treatment, the better it is.
A Georgia state commissioner is fired following a Reveal investigation.
Commissioner.
All in favor, please say aye.
It's been tough, but we got through it, and I think we did what we should have done.
A tragic mistake.
It's a miracle. But in the same breath, I looked at my oncologist and I said, I do not understand this. It does not make sense to me.
What led this woman to get a total hysterectomy to treat a cancer she never even had? From our Midtown studios in Atlanta, The Reveal begins now with our multi-Emmy and National Murrow Award-winning team of investigators.
Welcome to The Reveal, an investigative show making an impact. I'm Brendan Keefe.
And I'm Rebecca Lindstrom. Last year, Reveal investigation exposed why 24 DUI-related cases were dismissed by a judge in one day without hearing any evidence. A report showed the impact of a massive backlog that caused DUI arrests to sit unprosecuted for years and put potentially dangerous drivers back behind the wheel. But now that an appeals court ruling has reopened some of those cases, are Atlanta streets any safer? 7 months after a Fulton County judge dismissed this DUI case against Jeffrey Nelson, police in Alpharetta arrested him again. The officer said Nelson swerved between lanes, and like his first arrest, the officer said there was a strong odor of alcohol.
How much alcohol do you actually have?
And once more, he refused to take the field sobriety test.
Arrest me if you want, please, right now. If you guys want to arrest me, arrest me.
My job and my commitment is to make sure we pursue justice zealously.
That was Solicitor Keith Gamage last year, defending his decision to appeal the 24 DUI-related cases dismissed after defense attorneys complained they didn't receive the state's witness list before trial. But Phil Pilgrim says it was more than that.
What's the best way to put it? She was perturbed with the way things were progressing along in the courtroom.
The fallout from the Court of Appeals ruling is complicated, but the impact is this. Only the arrest from 2015, the oldest in the bunch, can still go to trial. That's 9 of the 24 cases.
I use Uber a lot now.
That includes attorney Phil Pilgrim's client, Lauren Thomas.
She was obviously disheartened and frustrated.
Her case is now 4 years old, and she no longer lives in Georgia.
Was I intoxicated? No.
I talked with Thomas before she moved to Las Vegas. Thomas has no DUI history and insists she is innocent. She'll have to travel back to Atlanta to prove it in court.
Turn around for me.
No.
But most of the drivers involved in the appeal will never have to answer to the charges against them.
You can let me go to this St. Regis and I'd buy you everything that you wanted.
That includes this woman seemingly trying to bribe a police officer to avoid her DUI arrest. And this woman will also go free.
You're having a hard time standing up straight. What's going on?
I'm
You're all over the place.
After we started reporting on the impact of the county's DUI case backlog, the solicitor announced Operation Double Victory, an unprecedented alliance with the city of Atlanta to deputize prosecutors in both courts to put cases on a fast track. A year after the announcement, it has yet to happen, but his office has helped the city get repeat DUI offenders to accountability court faster.
If someone gets arrested for a DUI and it's their third offense, the faster we can get them into treatment, the better it is. Number one, safety is key for all of us involved in this.
While the program started in 2007, Judge Susan Edline says a third of its participants have come through in the past 4 years. Most graduate, and she says most remain sober. The court is collecting the data on recidivism now. But for those that don't qualify for the program, the wheels of justice can still move slowly.
We're streamlining the process. We're aiming with proper resources to do it in about 90 days.
But charging a driver is only the first step. Benjamin Rollins was one of those backlogged cases from 2015. More than a year after he was charged, his case still had not gone to trial. Instead, when Rollins was arrested again for DUI, the county needed an emergency bond hearing. This time, Edward Harris, a husband and father, had been killed in the crash.
We've increased the number of days that we're doing for criminal trials because we realize that there's been a lot of cases that the Solicitor General has looked at, and now those cases have come to us to handle.
Judge Edline was not a part of Rollins' case or any of the ones dismissed, but she knows what's at stake. Edline says graduates from her DUI court often admit the program saved their life.
And when they say, you saved my life, you also know there's a good chance you saved someone else's too.
Yeah, that's a good way. Not just theirs, you're right.
Rebecca, now that the ruling has been made, has a date been set to finally hear these DUI cases?
The solicitor's office has indicated that they are ready, but according to court records, none of those cases have had a trial date set yet. Remember, all of these drivers have pleaded not guilty. Interestingly, one other driver in that batch of cases dismissed was arrested again for DUI. That was 18 months ago. Still no trial date on that arrest either.
And in Georgia, DUI cases are prosecuted by the solicitor. What is the solicitor saying about all of this?
I tried to talk with him on camera, had an interview scheduled, but he didn't show up. And when I asked to reschedule, I was told he would only put his answers in writing, which he did, and you can find his statements on 11alive.com.
Next on The Reveal.
Are you aware of any incidents that are not being reported at your facilities?
Thank you. A state commissioner lies under oath. Now he's out of work.
I don't think you heard what I just said. I wouldn't be able to comment on a personnel matter.
If you have a news tip or a comment on one of our investigations, email us at thereveal@11alive.com.
Welcome back to The Reveal. A Reveal investigation uncovered the commissioner of Georgia's Department of Juvenile Justice lied under oath about his education. Over the past year, we've reported on numerous claims of misconduct within the agency. Now the commissioner, who once dodged our questions, is out of a job.
Just a couple of things that I want to point out.
As head of Georgia's Department of Juvenile Justice, Commissioner Avery Niles' mission was to make sure thousands of youth offenders were held accountable for their actions. But a Reveal investigation uncovered Niles was not always leading by example.
Are you aware of any of that, Commissioner?
In March 2017, the commissioner testified under oath as part of a lawsuit. When asked about his education in a deposition, this transcript shows he stated, "I have an associate's degree in criminal justice." More than a year later, Niles admits that wasn't true. According to another deposition this past March, Commissioner Niles tells an attorney under oath, "I do not have an associate's degree." State Senator Emanuel Jones.
He told an untrue statement, which, where I'm from, it would be considered a lie.
In that same deposition, the attorney questions Commissioner Niles about his education again, asking, "Have you ever told anyone that you were enrolled at Columbus State to pursue a bachelor's degree?" The commissioner replies, "No, but take a look at his professional biography, once posted on DJJ's website. It clearly states otherwise."
What are the consequences of the commissioner of that agency admitting to lying under oath?
I think the consequences are extremely severe. I think any attorney would simply say, if you lied about this, what else are you lying about within that deposition?
Then let's talk. Commissioner Niles declined interview requests and said emailed the Reveal, "During a 2017 legal matter, I misspoke by stating that I had an associate degree. Earlier this year, the error was brought to my attention and it was corrected."
That I would do the right thing.
Niles didn't answer our questions, so we went to his boss, Governor Brian Kemp, after a recent news conference.
Do you have a few seconds to talk about Commissioner Niles? He recently admitted to lying under oath. What's your response to that?
I wouldn't be able to comment right now on a personnel matter.
Are you concerned about it?
I don't think you heard what I just said. I wouldn't be able to comment on a personnel matter.
Over the past year, the Reveal uncovered numerous claims of DJJ staff covering up misconduct, including inappropriate relationships with juveniles.
And she messed around and started kissing me.
And violent attacks of minors and corrections officers.
Are you aware of any incidents that are not being reported at your facilities?
Thank you. Given the gravity of the comments that I've heard, it certainly causes me to question his ability to manage that organization.
2 weeks later,
all in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Agency board members unanimously voted to remove Commissioner Niles from his job this past July. The Reveal was the only media outlet to speak to board members after their decision.
It's been tough, but we got through it, and I think we did what we should have done.
Is there any particular reason why the vote happened today?
I've told you I can't discuss a personnel matter.
The meeting, scheduled with little notice, almost immediately went into executive session, closed to the public. When it was over, the board returned, but Niles did not. Niles submitted a letter of resignation asking to leave in September, but the board declined to accept it, voting to fire him immediately instead. The governor approved the decision hours later.
It's a difficult day for us all.
Why was it difficult?
Just difficult.
You have a few seconds on
A former commissioner who walked away from questions about alleged misconduct, now leaving an agency he once led.
We don't need to hear any more horror stories about those that work within the organization are doing so, risking their life.
Andy, the now former commissioner, did he have anything to say about his dismissal?
We tried, but he was not available for comment after that board meeting.
With Niles now gone, who's going to run the agency?
A few weeks ago, Governor Brian Kemp appointed a new commissioner to DJJ. He's Tyrone Oliver, a longtime law enforcement officer. These are pictures of his private swearing-in ceremony this past July. We've requested an interview with him to discuss his goals on how to lead this agency that many say has severe staffing shortages that has led to unreported misconduct.
Coming up on The Reveal.
I could not believe it.
How a medical error destroyed one family's dreams.
It's a miracle. But in the same breath, I looked at my oncologist and I said, I do not understand this. It does not make sense to me.
If you have a news tip or a comment on one of our investigations, email us at thereveal@11alive.com.
A Colorado mom looking for help to get pregnant was told she had cancer and needed a hysterectomy, only to find out after the procedure it wasn't true.
A tragic story, but one that could very well serve as a warning for countless others facing a similar diagnosis.
The diagnosis was a dream killer.
I had uterine cancer. I was destroyed.
Microscopic, high grade.
Yeah, terrified. And so heartbroken.
And staggeringly aggressive.
And I couldn't believe that we were in that place. I couldn't believe it. So at that point, my goal was to survive.
Taylor Castillo and her husband of 4 years always dreamed of a large family. Their first arrived not long after.
I made it 184 stairs.
Making it more slippery.
To the top of the Statue of Liberty. To her crown.
Hello. Not long after this visit to New York City.
Baby Camilla made it too.
They assumed Camilla would be followed by others.
So I just figured it would be the same. And it wasn't. Month after month of negative tests. It was heartbreaking.
2 years into it, a doctor recommended a number of routine tests, including an endometrial biopsy.
And I just thought, we got to figure this out.
A tiny sliver of cells. Inside Swedish Medical Center, a lab isolated them, magnified them, and then found what you already know.
The first thing I thought of is, I can't have any more children. I could not believe it.
Desperate, she asked for a second opinion. Swedish sent the cells to Johns Hopkins. More bad news. Ovarian in origin. The cancer was spreading.
When we found out I had high grade, everything changed. They tell me, of course, not to look it up, but it had a 30 to 50% survival rate. And when I read that, my heart dropped.
And so everyone agreed only a surgery would save her life.
They did a full hysterectomy. They took out everything.
Everything.
You could just see a sense of sadness come over her. And I know it's because she won't ever be able to be pregnant again or to carry another baby.
Yet there was good news. Doctors called the surgery a success. She was cancer-free.
It's a miracle.
It's a miracle. But in the same breath, I looked at my oncologist and I said, I do not understand this. It does not make sense to me.
Inside Swedish Medical Center, it didn't make much sense either. Taylor's removed organs should have shown obvious signs of cancer, but there were none.
But there was no visible tumors, no swelling, no inflammation, nothing.
Nothing. And so a decision was made at Taylor's request to test the DNA of the cells, if only to see if these cells were her cells.
I knew it was either a miracle or someone made a mistake.
The results, spelled out in this report, concluded this slide contained the cells of two different people. One had cancer, the other did not.
No cancer. No cancer at all.
Never had it.
Somehow, in the lab, someone else's cancerous cells had come onto Taylor's slide. Swedish called it a contaminant that had led to the removal of Taylor's uterus and ovaries.
Every day. I still can't believe it. And for no good reason. I thought I was saving my life. And it was completely unnecessary.
Unnecessary. All due to something that happens all over the United States.
Our research shows that no patient care environment, no laboratory environment is free from these errors.
Washington University professor Dr. John Pfeiffer has done one of the most extensive studies on this problem to date. He found lab contaminations happen 1 to 2% of the time. A small percentage, yes, but not small in terms of sheer volume, thanks to the millions of biopsies done in the U.S. every year.
Potentially, there are a very large number of people, patients in the United States, who would be impacted by these types of laboratory errors.
He believes when lab tests turn up unexpected results, a $300 DNA test should be done before any invasive surgery, something not routinely done today.
The result can come back in a time frame that is short enough to actually be useful in planning the patient's care.
What we went through, nobody should have to go through.
I was put in instant menopause at 35 years old. You know, I'm actually higher chance for breast cancer now, heart disease, osteoporosis, all these things I have to live with because I am 15 years early in menopause.
As for these cells, these high-grade, staggeringly aggressive cells, the Castillos wonder who she is, and does she know? The hospital has yet to tell them.
I think about her and pray about her all the time because I know now she is struggling the way that we thought we were struggling.
A dream killer for her and for them.
I need to know what happened. Have you actually taken the steps to make sure this never happens again?
Our investigative reporter Chris Vanderveen reached out to Swedish Medical Center in Colorado to ask how did this mistake happen. The hospital refused to tell him. He also asked if any safety procedures had been put into place to prevent a similar mistake from happening again. And again, the hospital wouldn't tell him. In a written statement, Swedish Hospital did call this case rare and unfortunate, but that patient safety is paramount at our hospital.
Next week on The Reveal, a Georgia gay couple fights to prevent their baby from deportation. The parents are U.S. citizens, but the State Department says their daughter is not.
And I said, well, we're both the real fathers. If what you're asking is which one of us, had the sperm that created her, the answer is this one.
That was crushing. It was very upsetting.
The State Department policy, they say, discriminates against same-sex parents. That's next Sunday on The Reveal.
Thanks for watching The Reveal, the nation's only weekly local investigative show.
We'll see you next Sunday.